Hey everybody, this is John Barton. So today we're going to talk about a dipshit. So obviously JB Cases, John Barton. So this is the How Not to Be a Businessman edition because once again we're on the topic of dipshits who think that they can control people by waving their dollars around and tell people that are in business that we're not allowed to be citizens. We're not allowed to voice our opinion on various social topics and various political topics. We're not allowed to take a side. Um, we're supposed to just shut up and do our business, whatever that is. In my case, it would be shut up and sew, or shut up and design, or shut up and whatever. So apparently, these dipshits think because they have a couple dollars in their pocket and they can afford to buy your product, that if they wave it at you or they tell you, you know what, I'm not buying your product because I don't like the way you think, um, that you're supposed to just go, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. I will withhold my opinions from now on. Please give me your money. Fuck these fucks. Okay? Just straight up fuck these fucks. Um, So anyway, let's talk about the latest guy. Now, the reason that I'm making this like this is because I want to go ahead and record this because dipshit made an implied threat, against me. And if one of these dipshits ever decides to follow through, which it's always possible, it hasn't been my experience yet in the last 25 years that one of these assholes have ever actually showed up. But who knows? They could just be crazy enough to do it, and it might be the end of my life, if they do that. I don't know. So at least this way, my family has a way to point the police in the right direction, because I have a file of these dipshits, and they can just go to the dipshit folder. It's not what it's called. It's called the threat folder. But they can just go to the threat folder and turn it over to the police and say, "Here you go. Here's a bunch of guys that said they were going to hurt John, and you can start with them and make sure their alibis are tight." So just in case, we're going to go ahead and make this recording and we're going to make it public and we're going to discuss a few other things um, that have been said. And that way we can just have it out in public. The guy wants to make a public defamation of my product, then we can have a public video discussion of his comments. All right. So this starts with the debate over some lines in a song, where my problem with it is that there's a line in the song that basically says, "I'll beat your ass," more or less says, "I'll beat your ass if you're, we'll beat your ass if you try to burn a flag or stomp on a flag in a small town." Now, I swore an oath. I went in the military and I swore an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States. So statements like that bother me. As deplorable as burning the flag is, as shocking as it is, it's a constitutionally protected form of speech. Okay. And in my opinion, it's actually the best example of freedom, when you can attack your own country's values and you can attack your own country's uh, policies, or whatever reason you have to protest, by burning the flag, the symbol of that country, and not be accosted for it. Now, to be clear, the First Amendment states that the government shall make no prohibition against free expression of speech. So the government can't come down on you, and this has been contested in court, and the Supreme Court has ruled that the government is not allowed to make it illegal to desecrate the flag. Okay, it's a very contentious issue. But so, in my opinion, when someone threatens another person, "I'm going to beat your ass if you do that," then they themselves are breaking the law by threatening to assault or hurt or even shoot or kill, which I've seen out there on various message boards, anyone who does that. So they're basically, they're not the government, they're another citizen, and they're threatening to hurt someone for behavior that isn't even illegal. So the rest of the song is about it's this call to arms, basically saying, don't come to our town. We're a small town. If you try any of this other looting and violence and anything like that associated with riots, um, beating up police, things like that, we'll step in and we will violently defend ourselves. So don't try that. Right. The name of the song is "Try That," and and I don't disagree with defending yourself. If you're being attacked, defend yourself. That's what I'm doing right now. Um, if someone tries to attack you violently and you're able to defend yourself, then defend yourself. If you're able to move away from it and not get into a violent confrontation, then that's the recommended way to do it. It's you never know what's going to happen. You never know if someone's going to get killed or seriously hurt. So if you can avoid confrontation, if you can avoid violence, you should try to avoid it. That's how I like to look at it. However, we all know there are times when you can't avoid it. When someone's just coming at you, they won't let you get out of the way, they won't let you leave. Um, and you have to defend yourself. I have no problem with defending yourself, even with deadly force in those situations. I do have a problem, though, with the idea that normal people should take the law into their own hands and act as judge, jury, and executioner um, for anything that they perceive to be a crime or they perceive to be a problem. Um, but if someone's robbing a liquor store and you take down the perpetrator or something like that, um, or the guy is threatening the clerk with a gun and you use your gun to shoot him or something like that, I mean, I think that that's okay under the law, and I have no problem with that. I just have a problem with people protesting in ways that are legal and protected, and other Americans trampling on the Constitution by claiming that they would get violent with those protesters for that activity. Okay, obviously, looting, stealing, burning cars, vandalism, anything like that is a criminal act, and I don't condone any criminal acts like that. I don't have any justification for it. I don't try to justify it. I think that that's the absolute wrong way to protest, and I don't think that it accomplishes what the protesters want to accomplish. That said, I understand that emotions, can be super high and people can do stupid shit, criminal shit, just like the protesters who went to the insurrection. They went to Washington to protest the presidential election. They were lied to, of course, and the reason they ended up is because they were continually lied to for 2 months. The reason they ended up in Washington, but the fact is that a lot of them engaged in criminal behavior. They attacked the Capitol. They beat up the police. They did the things that this song says you shouldn't try in a small town. So they did the very things that people would get violent. They even like desecrated the flag. There's videos of these dipshits um, beating up the police with flagpoles with American flags on them. So even that, well, obviously that's a criminal act, assaulting the police or assaulting anyone. Um, but the fact is that to expand on this song and expand on the concepts that it promotes, um, I have seen very little criticism from the right wing, the try that type of people who are criticizing the people who are criminal and breaking in and vandalizing and beating up the police on January 6th. So in my mind, right, this is like an anthem or a call to arms for one type of people to tell another type of people not to try that in their town, um, without, say, an explicit admonition or threat against the people who did actually do that when they attacked the United States Capitol. They attacked the legislative branch of our country. Now, I'm a former military person. I was in the Air Force, and I swore an oath to defend the Constitution. And to me, defending the Constitution means also defending the institutions that exist because of that Constitution. Um, that doesn't mean that those institutions are always doing the right thing. That doesn't mean that the government is always doing the right thing. But it means to me that we use the Constitution, we use the provisions in there to create change without violence. All right. So this country is nowhere, anywhere close to any level of tyranny or anything like that that would mean that we need to enact change through violent means. Okay, that mean, and that goes for both sides. That's on the left and the right. You know, there is nothing that has happened in this country in the past 50 years that requires violence to force change. In my opinion, there isn't. Now, there's other people that will obviously disagree with that, right? There's people on the left that will disagree with that. There's people on the right that will disagree with that. And just for clarification, politically, I'm an independent, um, but I would say that I lean much more liberal than than a lot of other people who are independents. It's a middle ground, but leans left. Um, and that's because I've lived in different countries and I've seen the way that things are handled in different countries. I've seen a lot of things that I think would be good for America if we adopted it here, and we can debate that constantly. So for me, the highest form of freedom is the freedom to govern ourselves and work it out so that we come to an acceptable compromise on how that the government should be run and how the people should be treated. How the people, what rights the people have, what responsibilities they have, and so on. I think that civics in this country is at an all-time low, and I think that there's a lot of people who they're mad, they're outraged, because of what they're being told on whatever talking head show that they like, that they think is telling them the truth, and they get outraged, and so we have an outrage type of system where if you generate enough outrage, then you continue to get viewers. And when you continue to get viewers, you can continue to sell advertising, and you can charge more for the advertising based on the amount of viewers you have. So if you create enough outrage, then you bring the viewers, you keep the viewers that you have and you get more of them. And a lot of this outrage is created by either outright lies or severe twisting of the truth. Um, and they know full well that when they constantly bombard you with it, that you hardly have time to breathe, and check anything out before the next outrage point comes along. Oh, so and so did this, or so and so did that, or they're trying to get him, or they're trying to do that, or they're not trying to get him, but they're trying to get him. Nobody has any time to go look at the facts because you're too busy being outraged. So I think a little bit deeper on these subjects, just like I think deeper about my cases and about, whatever it is that we do. Um, and so, my commentary is based on both my thoughts on the matter, my study, and also my experiences in life, which includes 17 years of living abroad and seeing how other countries do it, seeing their systems in action. Um, and thinking to myself, hey, some of those things would be real good here if we were to implement them. So that's me. That's why I lean the way I do. Um, and I have never subscribed to the idea that in order to sell you products, um, I should just be absent from the civil discourse, that I should not act like a citizen who cares about his country enough to speak up and lend my voice to the conversation. And I don't think that I should be forced to do that. I don't think that anybody has a right to attempt to force my silence by waving a few dollars at me. So, with that said, let's go ahead and look at the latest dipshit who's trying it. Okay. All right. So this guy's name is Shane Stewart. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit graphic. So, I mean, it's the way it is. So this guy says, imagine thinking that WAP, which stands for Wet Ass Pussy by Cardi B, is good for our culture, but Jason Aldean is dangerous. So Jason Aldean put out a song called Try That, where he says, just, don't come to our town and try to be violent because we'll push back. Okay, fine, fair enough. But then there was a line in there about if you stomp on a flag, burn a flag, then that's one of the things that if you try that in their small town, the implication is that they're going to get violent with you. I have a problem with that. Okay, I'm sorry, I do, and I'm a military member, a former military member. I'm a veteran, and to me, I fought for the right to do that. As disgusting as I might think it is, as disgusting as anyone else might think it is, I fought. I didn't fight. I shouldn't say that. I swore an oath that I would fight if I was told to fight, but I swore an oath to defend the Constitution, which gives the right to protest in that way. So that's the only line in the song that I really have a real problem with. There's other implications in there that I also have a problem with because I think the song is just, I think it's trash and just was created to pander to the MAGA types who are itching for war, who are constantly on these right wing message boards saying, I can't wait for the Civil War, to happen, and I even had a former friend, basically outright say that I'd be the first one he'd shoot when the Civil War breaks out, just stupid shit like that. So anyway, my comment on this was this, right? First of all, I don't think that there's anybody out there arguing. I don't think there's anybody. I don't think there's a single soul out there who has argued that Wet Ass Pussy by Cardi B is good for the culture. Okay? Good for society, I don't think anybody's said that, right? Um, and there's been plenty of people who have criticized it as it shouldn't exist, it should be banned, it should be this. So there's plenty of people who have criticized it. What it is, it's a raunchy song about sex, about good sex, and people enjoy it, for what it is. It's not intended to be good for the culture. It's not intended to be bad for the culture. It's a song that's intended for the people who enjoy listening to that. It's not a threat of violence, it's a threat of sex, you know? So this is what I said to it. I said, very simply, I said, if people are thinking about wet ass pussy, they probably aren't thinking about shooting people who are legally protesting. So, yeah, a divisive call to arms, which I believe that the Jason Aldean song is, on some level, is probably worse for America than a song about having freaky sex. I mean, if we were just going to compare them on that, right? So you have a song about freaky sex. Okay, let's have some freaky sex. Let's get some wet ass pussy, right? Um, you might not like the content, but there's nothing wrong with freaky sex. So there you go. All right. So then Jason says, who said anything about shooting people who are legally protesting, right? And I said, the song threatens violence against people legally protesting. All right. So the song doesn't say what type of violence would be committed, right? It just says, just come and try it, see what happens, basically. So it's not saying that there's no explicit lyrics in the Jason Aldean song that says we're going to beat you up or we're going to shoot you or anything, right? It leaves it open to interpretation, with the implication being that if you try this stuff, if you try robbing liquor stores, you try carjacking, you try these things in a small town, you're going to meet a violent resistance, okay? And it leaves it up to the listener to decide what form of violence that takes, right? So in this situation, I just went straight to shooting. I said, and the reason I say that is because if you go look on right-wing message boards, you will find thousands of messages where people fantasize about shooting protesters. about running them over and killing them and all kinds of stuff, and they'll couch it in different language, because these days a lot of them are smart and smarter now. They're smart enough to not say it outright. Some of them are still stupid enough to say it outright, but most of them will couch it in different language. But basically, they are fantasizing about killing protesters. Um, and this is well documented. You can go find it yourself. So that's why I said what I said. If people are thinking about wet ass pussy, they probably aren't thinking about shooting people who are legally protesting or even illegally protesting, right? If your mind is all about let me get some wet ass pussy, then you're probably not in a space, in a headspace where you're looking to hurt someone else. I mean, I think that's a reasonable thing to say. But of course, people jump right on it and say, "Oh, well, Aldean didn't say nobody said anything about shooting people. Nobody said shooting." Well, yeah, he didn't say anything. He said, just don't try that in our town, or leave it up to your imagination what's going to happen. So anyway, um, so Jason says, shooting people. And then I said the song threatens violence against people legally protesting. So that was that. Anyway, this dude right here, Shane Stewart, jumps in and he says, hence why I use Castillo cases. That guy has no damn common sense. Okay. So, okay, we're going to start attacking my business now, I guess, right? So I said to him, I said, Jason, I said, not Jason, but Shane, I said, Shane, you're free to use anything you want. I'm glad when people like you try to tell me to shut up. I have fuck you money now, which means whenever someone like you comes along with that tired old shut up and so bullshit, then I can look at you and smile and say, fuck off. Castillo is right down there and he needs your money more than I do. All right, every time I see this, I have to correct myself when I see that I made a mistake. So I'm going to do that real quick. All right. So I said, Castillo's right down there. He needs your money more than I do. Now, I don't know that. I don't know how much money Castillo has. I mean, but I like to say it like that because I like to push back on this dipshit, right? Okay. So we're going to skip this conversation here about no one is shooting at people for legally protesting. Also not true, but anyway. All right, here's Shane Stewart comes back, right? All the money in the world couldn't fix your rotten character. I'll pray for you, Mr. Barton. This guy's going to pray for me. So we're going to see why this is ridiculous later, okay? All right. So I said to him, skip all this conversation, right? I said, my character is just fine. You open with an insult and expect civility. Sorry, buddy, you're the folks who were told by your God to turn the other cheek. If he's a Christian, that's true. Pray for yourself first, given that you don't seem to really believe in him. What you are witnessing here is a level of freedom that comes with financial security. Finding out how insignificant your opinion and the tiny amount of money you didn't spend with me must be hard to take. Which I believe, because I think that every single one of these people who tries to wave their dollars at me, I'm not going to buy from you, or I use so and so's case because you don't have any sense, or because of your political views or whatever. I don't think that they realize how powerless they actually are. They've been told all their lives the customer is always right and the customer has all the power, and businesses actually have taught that, oh, you always have to be nice to the customer and smile to them. No, you don't. No, you don't. If you have a product that is good and you give good service and you take care of your customers, then that's all the customers can expect from you. They don't own you. They're not purchasing you with that money. They're not purchasing your silence, and they're not purchasing your agreement with that money. They are purchasing a product with that money. And they have expectations about that product. And as long as you deliver those expectations, That's the business transaction. They have no right to tell you how you can speak, act, or whatever. Now they have every right to not do business with you because of something that you're doing in public, or some policy that you're supporting or not supporting or whatever, right? They have every right to do that. People can choose whatever reason they want to buy from you that has nothing to do with the product, and they can choose whatever reason they want not to buy from you because of the product. And they can also express themselves just like this guy and say, I use somebody else's product because you're an asshole, or I won't buy from you because you're an asshole. Fine, great. If that's, you want to deny yourself my product, that's fine. But don't act like that you have the right to, or that you should be able to influence me, that your opinion is that powerful that I should just go, oh, what? You're right. I'm sorry. I'll shut up. And fuck that. So anyway, here, the guy, I said, I find it hilarious that you want the right to criticize, but you don't want me to have that right unless my criticism is aligned with yours. Hypocritical much? And that's the truth. And I could prove it too. If I were to go out there, even right now, right this moment, if I were to go out there and make a post and support of the Aldine song, I promise you that I would get a bunch of attaboys from conservatives who also like the song. And I'd probably get a few of those, well, damn, son, I'm going to go buy a case from you now, just like I get people on the other side when I support so-called liberal policies, or when I support social issues that are considered more left. I get a few people on that side who are like, damn, John, I really like what you have to say. I'm going to go buy a case from you. And by the way, I don't want anybody to buy a case from me because they agree with me on any political topic or any social topic. I want them to buy a case because they need a good case and I build a good case. I want them to buy a case because they like all the quality things that we put into our cases, and the protection that we offer, and the lifetime warranty. They like the attributes of the product. That's why I want them to buy a case, and that's going to be important here in a moment. So, okay. So this is how I responded to Shane, right? And I just told him nothing, nothing about my product, right? I just said, my character's fine, dude. I'm okay. You don't have a right to tell me that I can't speak up, which is practically what you're doing right here. So that's fine. So then he comes back and he says, I prefer my cases are made here, not in Chinese sweatshops. I know my small amount of money you missed out on doesn't bother you. I don't think that you knew it until I told you that, but that's fine. I'm telling you, and it seems like you're acknowledging it. Now, this is the good part. Some of us have morals and choose not to exploit people to make money. Okay, so now he's saying that I'm immoral and that I'm exploiting people to make money. Lewis, do you feel exploited? Do you feel exploited? Are we exploiting you to make money? Okay, so there we go. So we have at least one vote for not being exploited to make money. All right, now he might be saying that because, the alternative is we'd have to have a discussion later, but clearly he's not being exploited. Everybody who works for me, everybody in China, everybody here, everybody anywhere is doing it voluntarily. No one is being exploited. Everybody's free to walk out the door. We pay more than the average. So we pay above what other places pay. We also don't take just everybody. But bottom line is that the people who work for me are there voluntarily, just like the people who work here. Just like the people who take a job in America. Nobody's forced to work for me. They all want to be there. So nobody's being exploited. That's just stupid. Now, as for the immoral part, well, that might be up for debate. Some of the things I do you might think are not moral, and a lot of the things I do you would think are probably extra moral, if you will. Everybody's a mixed bag, but I'm certainly not immoral in the sense that this dipshit is trying to portray me as if I'm using slave labor or something like that to build pool cue cases. So no. So what else did he say here? Oh, Chinese sweatshops, right? Chinese sweatshops. So basically, the guy's not even willing to like research, what the factories are like in China or anything. He's just going off a stereotype, um, and then he's trying to use that stereotype to attack me. Okay, so I say, well, who didn't see the China card coming, right? I said, you do know that Castillo cases are made in Mexico, right? I don't think he knows that. Um, but they are made in Mexico. So I don't see him complaining about Mexican sweatshops or the treatment of people in Mexico or anything, right? Obviously he's not, because he's not fucking concerned about it. He's not concerned about the situation for anybody making JB cases or any other Chinese product. He's not concerned. He's only faking concern just because he's trying to score points here. You know, he's trying to he's trying to knock me and win what he thinks is a debate. And the guy is full of shit. He's not concerned at all. So anyway, I said, who didn't see the China card coming? I said, who am I exploiting? Every single human that works for me is there voluntarily. They come and go as they like, and they get paid wages that are higher than average. I said they don't even sweat because we have AC and fans. So then, in my fashion, I made it clear where I stand. I said, keep trying though, you fucking fuck. Better people than you have tried this tactic and all have failed, which is true. My business is a family business that we started in my apartment in China. We grew the workshop to 25 people, and the shop is run by my wife's parents. Fully true. The revenue from the sale of our cases supports many more people in America. I would guess that we make more custom cases than all the USA case makers combined, which is probably true because, as far as I know, we have the biggest shop. I mean, I don't know. I'm not privy to everybody else's sales numbers, but I'm just guessing, that we probably do. Anyway, the buyers of our cases are getting a superior, highly protective case for less than the competition charges, and naturally are free to spend the savings on whatever they want instead of allowing the case maker to buy a new 75-inch Chinese-made TV with that extra money. Right? I mean, if you pay twice as much for a case than you pay with me, and you don't get the same amount of value, then that person that you paid that money to, they get to spend the extra money that you would have saved had you purchased a case from me. So that's simple logic, right? All right. So I said, you can justify depriving yourself of our quality level any way you want to. I'm pretty sure that we can go through your house and find plenty of products made in China, and many which definitely have a track record of exploiting labor both in America and around the world. I said, care to bet on it? Of course you don't, because I would easily win that bet. But you keep on being bigoted and using ignorant stereotypes to try and win points. Nothing more is expected from the low level of intelligence you've shown me so far. All true, in my opinion. All right, now here we get to the good part, right? So now Shane is going to come on the quality, right? He goes, quality level, your nylon always frays at the seams, top handle always. Both are not true. Your zippers get stuck easy, and your interior fits too tight, which ruins leather wraps especially. See, this is where the dipshit doesn't understand that when he makes these broad claims, right? Always, he's trying to defame the product, and he's making statements of fact that he cannot back up, that he has no evidence for, and he's doing this to try to knock our product broadly, right? And you'll see why this is important in a moment. And which ruins leather wraps especially. So I told him that I would address this, which I am right now, and I will. So I'll get back to this in just a moment of going back over the different things he said here. He says, if you spent more time on case design and less peddling your political views online, maybe you would have better quality. So, on that point, I agree. We already have really high quality, but if I spent less time being a citizen, being a conscientious citizen, and more time working on the cases, then yes, I could probably invent and create even better cases than we have now. Fair point, right? But what he's really trying to say is shut the fuck up and don't bother me with your political opinions because I don't want to hear them. Go make cases. That's what he's trying to say, right? Meanwhile, this dumbass is posting in the middle of the day. He's an employee of someone. He's working somewhere. He's getting a paycheck, but he has time to post. So I don't know. Is he stealing from his employer? Is he stealing time? Or is he only doing this on his lunch break, on his free time? What is it? I don't know. You know, all I know is that he's an employee getting paid, yet he has time to make posts all day long on Facebook. So you figure that one out. See, everybody can make insinuations. Everybody can make speculations, right? So I could call him a thief and say you're stealing from your boss, but I don't really know that, right? I just know that I've had employees that have spent time on their phone when they're supposed to be working. And when I find it out and I see it, I chastise them for it. And if they don't stop, they get fired. So that's been my experience as an employer. And I'm sure that lots of other people watching this who are employers will attest to that fact as well. So I don't know if I can pause this video. Shit. Can you answer that and find out what she wants? Because I can't pause the video right now. Just go outside and see what she wants. I don't know. Okay. So anyway, let's continue because that's not enough for Shane to stop, right? Here he comes back again, right? Now, I think these are a little bit out of order here. Facebook is doing some weird thing with this. But anyway, he says, you could find made in China stuff in my house, but I am not selling or promoting those items or using lack of minimum wage or fair labor laws to profit more. Okay, so let's take the last part first. First of all, this dipshit doesn't know the minimum wage in China. He doesn't know the wages at all in China, and he doesn't know the labor laws in China, so he has no fucking clue what I adhere to and what I don't. You know? But again, like a lot of ignorant people who try this, he's going off of stereotype and he's basing it on whatever people make in the United States. So guess what? Labor is cheaper in China. Labor is cheaper in Mexico as well. Labor is cheaper in a lot of places. Do you enjoy living in America, Shane? Do you enjoy the things that we have in America? If you enjoy those things, that's what higher prices pay for. That's what higher labor prices pay for. Okay? So that's a simple fact right there. The more money that people in a society make, the more things society can do for those people. So if you don't like it, you're free to go work for lower money if you want somewhere else. But don't tell me that I'm exploiting people because I pay what the prevailing wage is in the country that I produce in. Right? If I produce cases here, I would pay people accordingly, and the cases would be more expensive accordingly. In fact, if I produce cases here with the same quality level that I'm able to produce at in China because of lower labor cost, which, by the way, aren't that low anyway, that's a whole other issue. But if I were to produce cases here with the same quality level, then I would have to charge 2 or 3 times more to make the same amount of profit that I make now. So there you go. So that's how it would be. But I would definitely pay fair wages here, and I would definitely, excuse me, losing it. I would definitely not be exploiting anyone. All right. So the dipshit says, you could find made in China stuff in my house, but I'm not selling or promoting those items. Well, no shit, Dumbo. That's not what you said up here. Let's review, shall we? Okay. I prefer my cases made here. Well, you didn't buy a case that was made here, so apparently we'll call that one a lie, right? Because not only was it not made here, but you didn't even care to find out where it was actually made because you don't fucking care. You don't care. That's what it really comes down to. You don't fucking care. So you don't care. You don't know how you wouldn't care if the cases were made here or made in Mexico or made in China. If you agreed with me, you wouldn't say a fucking word. We both know that. But anyway, that's what you're saying right here, right? You're saying that your purchase decisions are made based on your moral guidance concerning the plight of the people who make the cases. So because you ignorantly adhere to stereotype, you just believe that everything made in China is made by people who are being exploited, and you feel free to say that to me now, okay? But you didn't give a fuck about the people in Mexico. You don't care what they're making. You don't care what their living conditions are like, or what the workshop conditions are like for the people who make the cases for Castillo. You don't give a shit, and you're just too chicken shit to admit it. So you're acting like, well, I don't promote those products and I don't make money off of them. No, dumbass. You just buy them, right? Your house is full of Chinese products where you don't give a flying fuck about the people who made them. And I'm sure there's a lot of frivolous products in there, just shit you bought offhand that you don't even need at all, right? Like there are products out there that are made that they're pretty much not made in America anymore that you have to buy. Not going to fault you for those, but all the ones where you had a fucking choice, buddy, you chose it. You chose to buy those products with not one shred of concern for the people who made them. So save the bullshit, okay? Just be honest with yourself. All right. So anyway, let's go back here. All right, so then he comes back and he goes, this is where he starts to threaten me. I hope we meet in person one day. I suspect you will not speak up to my face. Really? Is there something about your face here that should scare me or something? Let's look. Let's look at Shane Stewart's face. Okay. Well, apparently we can't look at his face here because he doesn't have it, I guess, because he doesn't know how to crop a fucking picture. This is the guy right here. Where's the photos? Let's stalk him a little bit. So, guy with a beard. Okay. I guess that's him. Chubby guy with a beard. So is there something about this guy that I'm supposed to be scared of? So anyway, so this is an implied threat, right? So this was my response here. I said, talking about the quality level, okay? Okay, I want to get back to this one, right? Okay, here we go. Let's get back here. Okay, so he talks about the quality level, right? And he says, your nylon zippers fray at the seams, top handle always, not true. Your zippers get stuck easily, also not true. Your interior fits too tight, which ruins leather wraps especially, super not true. And if you spent more time on case design, yada, 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 right? So I said, now you're making claims that you can't back up, okay? Because now he's making statements of fact. So I said, bring $10,000 to bet with in my shop, and we can tackle each of your points. Not a single one of my leather wraps has a problem. I have lots of cues with leather wraps that are kept in JB cases. I've got lots of customers who have cues with leather wraps that don't have a problem. So obviously the always part of that is debunked right away. Um, have there been a few people who have had some problem with the wraps? Yes, we've had people with elephant ear wraps that are very prickly and sticky, and we've had people with rubber wraps that are very tacky and sticky. Um, as a case maker, I can't account for every single way that everyone can build a queue. I just can't. I can go with the prevalence of the way they build queues. And as a custom case maker, I can adapt my interior to meet anyone's needs. So if our padding grabs onto a particular leather that is unusual and exotic, great. I deliver queue sleeves or butt sleeves with every case so that people can alleviate that if they need to. But I also have done videos showing that most of the time, 99% of the time, it's just a matter of how you insert the queue. So even with those super grippy wraps, you still don't need the butt sleeve if you are inserting it correctly. But the guy doesn't pay attention to any of that. He just wants to lie and just say, oh, it always fucks people's wraps up. Bullshit. It doesn't. Okay. And I've got plenty of videos to prove it. All right. Anyway, so I told him, I said, that's just what I told you. So I said, it's interesting that your case brand of choice, Castillo, copied the interior style that I invented. Yet, despite using padded interiors similar to ours, you don't make the same nonsense claim about them. Really? Why not? You can look inside the interior and you can see that it's padded and looks just like ours. Now, however, it's not the same as ours, but it's close enough. And I've done a video comparing Castillo to JB cases, so you guys can go look at that and you can see exactly what I have to say about the comparison. But for this dude's purposes, the interior is substantially the same. So therefore, if JB cases are too tight, which they're not, right? It's snug, not tight. And I'm not going to go over that again because I've gone over it a million times in videos. If JB cases, according to him, are too tight, then Castillo ought to be too tight as well. But it's not, but that doesn't matter because the guy's a fucking hypocrite, right? He's a fucking hypocrite who's just trying to score points by lying, right? Okay. So anyway, like I said, better people than you have tried this tactic and they always lose. You don't have any data to back up your opinions, so you wouldn't have any evidence other than a few anecdotal stories, which I don't even think he has a few stories. I have taken cases apart in front of crowds to debunk false claims such as yours. Unlike you, I am willing to bet high on what I say because I do have the data and the objective experience to back me up. As well, 30 years of case making experience has provided the necessary knowledge to easily refute the occasional dumbass like you who tries to convert his butthurt into defamation of our work. So moving on to the zippers, I said, our YKK zippers get stuck easily? Well, that's news to us and to YKK, who happens to produce the best quality and smoothest zippers on earth. You guys can look that up. Just go look up YKK zippers and look for anybody who says they've had any problem with those zippers. Please go ahead. The vast majority of information that you're going to find is about how good they are and how many brands use and depend on YKK zippers. Okay, so go for it. Because one of the things that I do is I look for the best materials. If we don't make it, I look for the best materials that I can buy to use our case. I absolutely hate zippers because no matter how good they are, someone will find a way to break them. So since I have to use zippers currently, I want the best zippers available, and those are YKK zippers. They are the smoothest zippers. They're the most durable zippers. They're the most longest lasting zippers. They're the toughest zippers. So anybody can say what they want, but that doesn't mean it's true. So this dipshit is lying to you, and he's lying to himself. Okay, the next thing is, our material always frays, you say. Well, that's just simply not true, right? First of all material frays, okay? Every material that's woven material is going to pill. Pilling is when the fibers come out, you know. So the more you rub on something, the more little bitty fibers will start coming out. So some fabrics are more resistant to that than others, but all fabrics do it depending on usage. And there is plenty of information out there about how to deal with it when it happens. But what this dipshit is trying to say is that it happens all the time on our cases, and that's just simply not true. We have customers that have had cases for 10 years and they look just almost like they did on day one because they take care of their stuff. We have other customers that have had their cases a year and they look like they've been through a war zone. So it's all dependent. If you throw your case in a car with a fabric seats or something like that and the fabric rubs against each other, you're going to have more pilling. You know, if you put your case in situations where shit can rub against it, there's going to be more fabric coming out. Static cling brings tiny threads out. Those tiny threads pull other threads. That happens. We have plenty of videos out there on how to deal with pilling. There are plenty of other videos out there by other people who clearly tell you how to deal with pilling. The number one way to deal with pilling is be careful with your shit so that it is less likely to pill. Period. Right? That's it. So we use a durable and tough material. This material right here, waterproof on the back, super tough, and it holds up. Now, it's not indestructible, but it holds up. So that's why we call it the rugged case, not the indestructible case. So if anybody calls me up, or there are plenty of people who can testify to this, I've seen cases in the pool room. I'll go up to somebody and I'll just grab my lighter and I'll say, here, let me take care of that pilling for you. And I'll tell them what to do to take care of it. And inevitably they say, thanks a lot. I didn't know that. So guess what, dumbass? When you buy something, you should learn how to take care of it. Okay? Your failure to take care of the thing that you own is not my problem. Okay? It's just not. I didn't sell you a case that I said was indestructible. I sold you a case that I said was protective and has certain quality levels that that I want, that I think are important. And my customers have testified plenty of times that the cases are actually better than they imagined. That the quality and the protection and everything that I said is not only true, it's even better than I stated. So, you know, we've made over 30,000 cases with JB Cases. And then beyond that, I made another 50,000 cases when I was with InStroke, another company that I founded. So, son, there's nothing you're going to tell me about how my cases are built or what my cases do that A, I don't already know, and B, if it's a problem that I haven't already improved. Okay? So that's about the pilling, right? But I did say, you know what, dude, you're right about one point. If I stopped being a conscientious citizen and withheld my opinions on social and political topics, I would have more time to improve our work even more above the already high quality that we deliver. But I have a team around me, and we follow a philosophy of continuous improvement. What that means is that anytime that we detect any kind of a problem, we look at it and we say, is this a problem that could happen in other cases? And if so, how can we fix it? And we come up with a solution to make that part of the case even stronger so that the next cases that come off the workbench don't have that problem. That's why I can give a lifetime warranty, because I'm continually making the cases better, dipshit. And because I'm continually making the cases better, it means that any problems that there were 10 years ago are highly unlikely to show up now. And that's exactly been the case. It's played out exactly that way. So very, very rarely do I get a case back with some kind of a problem, a warranty claim that is actually valid for any of the cases produced in the last 5 or 6 years. So any cases that I'm getting back now are generally ones that were made more than 10 years ago. And any problems that those cases have, which are a valid warranty claim, that, a problem that might be a valid warranty claim is something that's already been fixed. So guess what, dummy? I can be a conscientious citizen and voice my opinion about various social topics and still build awesome cases. Gosh, imagine that. So once again, this guy's trying to admonish me and basically say, shut up and sew, right? All right, so I said, save the bullshit for someone that you can dupe, right? I'm sure you enjoy lying about me and our products. Go ahead and continue because it only gives me a platform, which I'm on right now, to debunk your nonsense every time it appears online. Make sure you tell everyone the correct website to stay away from. So you can go and check out the testimonials if you want. I'm like, a couple thousand testimonials behind of posting them, but, that's plenty right there. So then he comes back and he goes, this is the part I love, right? Shane Stewart. John Barton, I wish I had my last JB to debunk your claims live, but I sold it to get rid of it. Okay. So first of all, I don't know. Is he saying that he had more than one JB, previously? Did he have more than one of our cases? Maybe, but let's assume that he just had one. Well, Shane, where was your morality when you bought it? I mean, you knew it was made in China. You know that, me. I'm not shy. I've been the same person since the beginning of JB cases, since before then. I'm not any different now than I was 14 years ago. So where was your morality? Where was your concern for the people who made the JB cases? Non-existent, I guess. Or maybe you just found morality later. I don't know. But again, we go back to your house full of Chinese stuff. Seems like your morality is kind of fluid. Speaking of morality, let's look at the last part of your claim here. But I sold it to get rid of it. So you have this case that you claim, right? You claim does all these nefarious things. It's so bad of quality and it hurts queues, right? It harms queues. But you sold it. Did you tell the guy that you bought it from all these things? Did you contact me? No, you didn't. You didn't contact me and say that, oh, I'm having these problems and is there anything we can do about it or whatever, right? No, you didn't. So you just pawned it off on someone else. Let them deal with it. Well, guess what, buddy? They have a lifetime warranty as well. So if the case actually is a problem, as you say it is, which I doubt, whoever's got the case now is free to contact me and ship it to me, and I'll take a look at it. And if anything is a warranty claim that we would be responsible for, that's a failure on my part, I'll replace the case to the guy to this day because the case carries the warranty, not the person holding it. Now, most people aren't stupid like you, Shane. And if they're having a problem that they think needs to be addressed, they will contact me and we'll work it out. See, that's how it works. But not you. You want to come on here and try to score points and say that the case was horrible and it was terrible and it harms queues. And when you say a case harms queues, our case, I got to respond to that because protection is my number one issue. Protection is the reason that I build cases. So saying that the case not only doesn't protect the queue, but it harms the queue, making a claim that the case always does that, and then coming later in and saying, well, it happened to me, or insinuating that it happened to you, that's just to try to score cheap points, buddy. That's something obviously that we can't prove at this point, can we? Unless you know the guy you sold it to and he still has it and he'll vouch for you, then we can look at it. But other than that, all we have is your word. And so far, you're a fucking dumbass who is disingenuous. I know that's a big word for you, so look it up. And you just keep coming back with these points that you think are going to knock me, and you think they're going to knock me down, and I'm going to slink away in shame because you've you've beat me in a debate and you've made a super great point, and look at that slimy John Barton. I think you even called me a scumbag. So anyway, I said, thanks for providing us a platform to demonstrate our quality. Okay, so what did I say? I said, once again, you're invited to come here and use any of the cases I have. We have cases that come in on warranty claims in every condition. You want to make some claims based on quality, based on the claim that you had a JB case. But even if you did have one, it would only be one example of the 30,000 cases that we've made. We've made more than 30,000, well more, but anyway. If our cases were as you claim, then we wouldn't have the reputation that we do. I mean, I think that's probably self-evident, right? If all of my cases did all of the things that this dipshit claims, then I would rightly be out of business. Or I would just have incredibly stupid customers. And neither of those things are true. Okay? So while it's certainly possible, Shane, that you're not lying, improbable but not impossible, the fact is you've never contacted us as far as I know. So I said that, right? And I talked about selling the case to someone else, right? So on and so on, right? Okay, then we come back to where I get a little bit uppity here. I shouldn't say uppity, that's a bad word. It's not a bad word, but the origin of the word, is a bad usage. So I get a little bit bowing up here, I guess, because I don't, people threaten me with violence, and then I'm not a Christian, so I don't feel a need to turn the other cheek, and I am mostly a pacifist, but I'm not above defending myself when necessary. So I said, Shane, you can bet super high that I will speak to you in person exactly like I spoke to you here if you start in with the same bullshit. Absolutely true. Now, as has been my experience with all of you internet tough guys thus far, if you speak to me in a civil manner and don't lie about us or our products, then I will treat you with civility. Absolutely true. Your implied threat of violence is meaningless. So then he responds, we will see. Ooh, okay. I guess at some point in the future, he's going to show up and threaten me, I guess, or dare me to talk to him in this way, So anyway, he says, I named the issues I have with your product. You mean had, because you sold the case, allegedly. I didn't lie, and I gave you my honest opinion. Your honest opinion, right? Yeah, right. Okay. So let's be clear, Shane. You made statements of fact that you say happen to all of our cases, right? Happens to everybody who has our case. This is what they experience. So the fact is you don't even know how to fucking communicate, you fucking dummy. And you don't understand that your experience isn't the same as everyone else's experience. You got it? Your experience is only your experience. And on top of that, it's anecdotal. So we don't know if you're telling the truth. At this point, given the way that you're operating here, I would put my money on not telling the truth. But, let's say that it's true and you experience these things, right? Then we would have to take a look at the case and see if it's actually happening the way you say it is. And if it doesn't, then we would be able to assess that. And if it did, we would be able to address that. But you didn't bother, did you? No, you sold the case to someone else, Mr. Morals. And then this is a good part right here, right? There's a big difference. Just because you don't want to hear it doesn't make it a lie. Oh, son, do you not fucking understand? Of course I want to hear it. If there's anything wrong with our cases, I definitely want to hear it. Because as I said earlier, whenever somebody comes up with something that's an issue, we look at it and we say, is this something that could be better? Is it something that could happen on other cases? If so, we fix it. We build it stronger. We make it better. So the next case is coming off the bench don't have that problem. We're certain that they won't have that problem. Even if it wasn't that big of a problem before, even if it was something that might happen to only a small percentage of cases, I do my best to make sure that it won't happen anymore. So right there, you're an idiot, because why would I not want to hear these things when I give a lifetime warranty? So you're thinking that I give a lifetime warranty and I have all these defective cases that I know are defective, that I know have these problems, and I give a lifetime warranty anyway? Wouldn't I have thousands of cases flying back at me? I would be out of business. But I'm not, because what you're saying is not true and what I'm saying is true. So then he comes back with this. I love this part, right? This guy is not a businessman. He doesn't have a payroll. I have a payroll. I write checks to people. I have to be responsible for making sure people get paid every week. He doesn't have to. All he has to do is show up and get a paycheck. There's nothing wrong with getting a paycheck, right? But don't assume that because you get a paycheck, you understand what it takes to run a business. Okay? You don't. And if you ever ran a business, then you would understand it a little bit more. And if your business went out of business because you couldn't make enough money to handle your responsibilities, then you certainly don't have any right to tell me how to run my business. So just save the bullshit, okay? So he says a good businessman would take to constructive criticism and use it to his advantage. But instead, you're a narcissist who thinks he knows everything. Really, guy? Really? So that's what you're offering here, is constructive criticism? That's your intent here? To help me to build a better case? Is that it? That's why that you came into this thread and brought my business into it? I'm just curious. I mean, because I don't feel that way. I don't feel like you're trying to help me at all, you know? But, if you want to lie to yourself and tell yourself that that's what you're doing, feel free. You're lying to yourself about so many other things, so why stop there? And then he says, but instead you're a narcissist who thinks he knows everything. No, son, I don't know everything. I've said that many times. But you know what I do like to do? I like to read. I like to study. I like to think about things deeply on both sides of any issue. I like to try to see it from different perspectives. But there is one thing that I do know pretty intimately, that I do think I know everything about, and that is my product. I am pretty fucking sure that I am the world's foremost expert on JB cases. I'm pretty sure that there's not a single person on this planet who knows more about JB cases than I do. Now, I really shouldn't say that, because there is one other person who knows as much or more than I do, and that's my wife. She's been with me this whole journey, and yeah, there are things that she knows about JB cases that I don't, such as where we get certain materials and things like that. I don't know the names of all the suppliers and stuff like that. But she knows those things. So yes, I made a mistake. There's one person who knows more than me. But one thing I know for sure, I know more than you do, you fucking idiot. Way more than you do. Your experience is with one or two or, who knows how many cases. And you claim that it's a terrible case and it hurts Q's, but yet you sold it to someone else. That's your experience with JB cases. And we don't know how true that is, I personally think you're a fucking liar. But you could be telling the truth. And if you're telling the truth, then your experience is this compared to this is my experience, motherfucker. You got it? So yes, when it comes to JB cases, asshole, I know everything and you don't. All right. So I basically said all the same thing here. Okay. Then I told him that my address is public knowledge. I said, the only question is, will you approach from the front or sneak up from behind? I personally doubt you'll show up, And I'm making this video not only to debunk this idiot's claims, but also I'm making this video to have it as evidence that this dipshit threatened me or, implied a threat. And, just in case. So I said, if I get any chance to defend myself along the lines that Aldine threatens, then I will do my best to make sure you're never in a position to threaten another human with violence. Now, you could be the rare one who actually shows up. As you said, we'll see. And given that you've threatened me, I'll be adding this thread to the threat file. So I said, make sure your alibi is super tight. So then dipshit comes back with, if you practice ethical labor practices like you say you do, why don't you make your employee pay public and show their working conditions? Because I don't owe you anything, asshole. You're so insignificant that you do not matter. Not one bit. Now, if my participation in the industry depended on that, then I would make that clear to whoever had any kind of a position to impact my business. Then I would definitely comply with whatever their requirements were on that score. But I don't feel any need to tell you what I pay people, because even if I did that, even if I made a list of what I pay and I had a live video feed of my shop, do I honestly think that that would change anything in your mind? No, of course it wouldn't, because you're a disingenuous fuck. You're only saying this because you think, oh, if John doesn't do it, then he must be a slave driver and he must be exploiting people. That's not how it works, idiot. You know, that's not. I could ask you the same thing. If you're not a child molester, um, then why don't you show us proof that you're not? See how that works? When did you stop beating your wife? See, it's easy to do that. Why do you fuck yourself with your gun? What? You say you don't do that? Well, then prove it. I mean, you can accuse people of something and then tell them that they have to prove it, but that's not how it works. You see, dummy, the burden of proof is on the accuser. That's you. You're the one out there making these accusations. You're the one out there slandering me and defaming me and making these unfounded accusations. So you prove it. Go ahead. Start with your house, buddy. Show us all the things in there that you own that you didn't give not even the tiniest little thought about the people who made it. Okay? Go ahead. Start with that. All right. So anyway, I ended up with saying exactly that. And that's it. So I just told him, you're an insignificant dipshit. So, and that's it. That's where it is. So that's it. That's the end of this video. And I'm going to post this here in just a few minutes, and then we'll have it up, and that's it. So you guys, everybody knows where I stand. Okay? I'm not super nice. A lot of people tell me I'm the nicest guy they ever met. I don't know how they feel that way, but I guess it's because they've been nice to me, so I've been nice to them, and then I am a nice guy. And I do a lot of things for people that I don't brag about. I don't feel the need to tout that all the time. But however nice someone thinks I am, I can be just as mean too. I can be a mean asshole, and I can come over the top when someone comes at me like this. So that's what I'm doing. So there you go, people. If you're watching this and you don't like how I acted or how I talk about things or how I talk to this asshole, and that makes you not want to buy a case, that's your choice. And I fully agree with your choice. I don't buy certain products because I don't like the people who run the company, or I don't like the things that the founder of the company or the owner of the company has said. That's my choice, right? But I'm not going to go in and say that a Mercedes isn't a quality auto just because I don't like something that the head of Mercedes said. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go in there and start picking at it like that and lying about the product just because I don't like the personality of the person selling it. So, I have a lot of friends and a lot of customers who are conservative and who have the opposite viewpoints as I do on social issues and political issues. And those people buy cases from me and they enjoy the quality that they get. And they're never shy about telling me that they think I'm completely wrong about whatever social issue it is that we're disagreeing about that day. Those people are adults. You're not Shane Stewart. You're a fucking child in a man's body. So bring your child ass to Oklahoma if you think that that's going to do something for you. If you think that you need to bow up and you need to threaten me, go ahead. That's what children do, baby. Go ahead. Make sure you go all the way. That's all I've got to say. You know, if you don't want me to make cases and you don't want me to be involved, put me in the ground, motherfucker. But until then, I'm going to tell you what a fucking childish prick you are and how dishonest I think you are and how you don't own me, motherfucker. You didn't own me when you bought a JB case, when you didn't give a fuck about the people who made it. You don't own me now when you think that you can tell us stories that we can't verify. So get it. You don't own me, motherfucker. So if you want to show up here and try to do something to me because I'm talking to you like the child that you are, feel free. Can't stop you. Hopefully you're not a coward and you won't sneak up and sucker punch me from behind. Bye.